really need to talk about Dream. Creeps and freaks, my favorite little sprouts, and welcome to the Scenecore cesspool. I'm your host, Scenebean, and today we're going to be looking back at one of the most controversial YouTubers on the platform. Because to mine and a lot of people's surprise, he's actually come back to his channel and has actually dropped a new video after being pretty much radio silent for almost a year. However, with the resurgence of the smiley green blob, the internet loves to hate, new drama and information has surfaced along with more questions than ever before. And in this video, I will be showing you all the conversation I had with an inside source who knows Dream personally and revealing the secrets they shared with me. So, what's been going on behind closed doors, and has he successfully been able to move past everything that's happened around him? Well, Sprouts, prepare to dive into the void with me as we take a fresh look at the return of Minecraft YouTuber and internet controversy, Dream. But before we get into that, if you haven't done so, please consider subscribing and smashing that like button if you want to see more videos like this in the future. I upload new videos once every 2 weeks, and if you like what you see today, make sure to check out my other socials linked in the description for more content I know you guys will love. But anyways, with that all being said, back to the video. So to start things off, I want to prelude a bit by taking a trip down memory lane. In order to understand why Dream's return is such a big deal, we need to understand his current track record, which isn't good in the slightest. So with that being said, I think it's time for a little rewind. Dream started as a faceless Minecraft YouTuber that ended up exploding in popularity around the year 2019 when he started making Minecraft videos and uploading content like the Dream SMP, which he founded and owns. And since then, he has developed one of the most controversial fan bases on the internet, with stands of his claiming to be Dream sexual, Dream gender, and even going as far as to dox and swat anyone who dared to voice any negative opinions about the man they practically worshipped. Over the years, with everything becoming even more intense after his 2022 face reveal, since the start of his career, Dream has collected allegations and controversies like Pokemon cards ranging from grooming to pedophilia to cheating in Minecraft speedruns to accusations of charity fraud to fostering parasocial relationships with his underage fans to fighting with other CCs to fighting Gumball Watterson to accusations of him making racist, homophobic, transphobic, anti-Semitic remarks to platforming and promoting confirmed groomers, pedophiles, and abusers. Yeah, bro's got quite the resume to say the least. And with all of this on his back, a lot of people just sort of saw Dream as a cringe, whiny crybaby who was a selfish, irresponsible, and irredeemable prick and overall creep. This man was doxxed, harassed, swatted, had threats on his life made, the FBI got involved, and private investigators and lawyers were hired to defend him and prove his innocence. It was mayhem. Allegations on his back, Dream eventually responded after literal years of waiting to hear from the man. But unfortunately for Dream, the video kept getting pushed back because more allegations would keep coming out and Dream would be involved in more controversies. No wonder the response video is almost 2 hours long. Jeez! But once the response video itself dropped, that was basically it from Dream. He went relatively radio silent in terms of content creation, with all of his platforms and channels basically going dark as well. There was nothing on YouTube, nothing on Twitch, hardly anything on Twitter, and very little activity on Snapchat, as well as on his Discord server. Then all of a sudden, on July 31st, Dream suddenly uploads a 30-minute video out of nowhere. No announcement, no statement of any kind, nada. And okay, sure, to be fair, it's not uncommon for YouTubers to take a break sometimes, and I'm not going to make some big deal out of, OMG, Dream's coming back from his break! Ah! That's not what this is about in the slightest. Because with his return, a lot of questions have sparked up in people's minds regarding what has happened behind the scenes, mainly over Dream's relationship with his best friends, George and Sapnap. And for those of you who don't know, both of these individuals have their own set of problems associated with them, with George being outed allegedly for groping a fellow streamer named Kittybugs. If you want the full story on that, by the way, I've linked my video covering it up here. as the situation is relevant for what's going on and what I'm going to be covering next. Sapnap, on the other hand, is under controversy for switching his platform over to the incredibly controversial and unsafe streaming platform Kick. So seeing Dream come back all nonchalant like nothing has happened, while featuring George and Sapnap in his return video, had several eyebrows raised right off the bat. But above all, the main thing that surprised the internet was the fact that with the drop of the video, new allegations came out against Dream. Thus, I'd like to introduce you all to a famous commentary TikToker, ImJustZander, who came forward around the time Dream's newest video dropped with some interesting information. Upon hearing this, I started doing research on the new allegations and beef with Dream and Xander, because clearly there was more going on than we had originally thought. New allegations that haven't even reached the public have begun to surface, and all of this information was found and documented by ImJustZander himself on his TikTok and Twitter page. Such tweets have unfortunately been deleted, but I have been able to find a couple sources on Reddit and as well as reposted on TikTok and Twitter. So here are the screenshots I've managed to find. But again, these are coming from not necessarily incredibly reliable secondary sources, so take them as you will. So I ended up reaching out to Xander himself for some more information, and to my surprise, he actually responded and agreed to an interview with me. I have gotten his permission to show you all our conversation, and let me just go out of my way and state that I've learned a lot of behind-the-scenes information regarding Dream's mental state, the aftermath of the Katybug situation, and so much more. So with that all laid out, let's get into my conversation with ImJustZander about his experiences and everything he has learned about Dream. Hello Xander, my name is Scenebean, and I'm making a video about your situation with Dream. I wanted to ask if you could share some of what has gone on so I can include it in my video about the situation. I'm also a commentary channel, and I want to make sure I represent the facts. To be honest, I didn't think he was going to respond to my first message at all, so I was incredibly surprised when a few minutes later I got a notification.
Message request accepted. You can start chatting. Hey, your energy is delightful. What would you like to know? We can do a question and answer. Okay, cool. Thank you for answering my message request. I've been genuinely surprised no one has covered the topic.
After this was where we got into the Q&A part, and the first thing I asked him about was his beef with Dream.
So first off, can you share some insight into what started the situation? I've been scrolling through Twitter and Reddit archives to find stuff, but it's seemingly been buried. So what specifically started it was I was already going through a lot online with another situation, and I opened Twitter and I saw a Dream stan adding me and calling me a horrible person, quoting something unrelated. And so I snapped and I made a big tweet that has now been deleted because I obviously don't feel the same anymore, saying that I'm so sick of people telling me Dream's a good person when he's bad, and I have photo evidence and video evidence of him doing bad stuff. I worded the tweet very angrily and maliciously, to be honest with you, and which caused the entire Dream community to come for me and to respond also with anger. It escalated very quickly, and then Dream reached out to me to say, "Can we talk?" At which we then had the Discord call I talked about. I'd rather keep the call private. A lot was said. A fair amount of creators were mentioned, a fair amount of allegations and situations were mentioned, and he was able to show me proof about the biggest allegation I had, at which I was presented with the truth. So afterwards I made my statement and he made his statement, and now we are good and have no bad blood, and his community has been very nice to me. And I'm now actively defending Dream because I don't believe he is that person I thought he was anymore.
When hearing about the new allegations, though, I was immediately intrigued.
Is there anything you can tell me about the unpublished accusation regarding Dream? You don't have to go into detail if you don't want to. All I can say about it is that it was something entirely different than what actually happened. I was told some crazy tale by the victim and showed evidence that made Dream look awful. But what actually happened was polar opposite, and Dream was able to show me enough proof to truly prove his side. That's so vague, but Dream and I did agree that since they were false, they really shouldn't see the light of day. I'm assuming due to the context, it's separate from the Katybugs thing? Completely separate. Something never talked about publicly.
This ended up confirming a thought I had while researching for this video. As I had originally suspected previously, there was a lot more going on than we originally thought underneath the surface.
So next question is regarding more of a timeline. The video itself I'm making is about Dream's return to the internet that he made without any sort of notice or statement. Considering both George and Sapnap were in the video, we both know why that's a big deal. Did the new allegations come out during the 7 months of dead silence, or when Dream's new Minecraft video was posted? 7 months of dead silence. It was in the middle to late end, the 6th month.
After touching on the timeline, we ended up segueing into a different side of Dream, getting into his struggles with mental health and his issues with self-isolation.
Speaking of those 7 months, did Dream say anything about what was going on during those months? He was genuinely just a shell of insecurity and being a hermit. Would barely leave home, barely hung out with anyone, just stayed inside and would occasionally go somewhere, but mostly due to some sort of contractual obligation. He was a hermit.
After that, though, was when I got the biggest information bombshell dropped on me. I asked Xander about Dream and George's relationship after the Katybugs drama.
But okay, back to serious questions. Do you know if anything has happened with the George allegations? I'm specifically asking because of how surprised a lot of people were that George and Sapnap were in Dream's newest video. I will say the allegations against George are true. We did very, very briefly touch on that on the phone, but those were true, and I just think Dream is still standing by George as a friend, so take that information as you would.
This honestly just made me so sad. The internet drove a now confirmed victim off the internet and called her a liar for being brave enough to share her story. I hate that so much, you guys. I feel so bad for Katybugs.
Considering I made a 20-minute video on my thoughts on the entire situation, that's insane. I'm guessing that means Dream is just going back to, look past the situation itself. Yes, looking past it and just hoping George changes. That's good, I suppose. I'm assuming that's also why he was in his newest video. Yes, exactly. It's both shady and admirable at the same time.
On the note of Dream choosing to stick by George despite knowing everything Katie said was true, and the fact that he kept quiet about it, I don't like that at all. In retrospect, considering him and George lived together and the fact that they'd been friends for so long, and while I in no way condone his actions, at the end of the day, I can kind of understand why Dream hasn't dropped George as a friend. The picture Xander painted in our conversation about the whole situation itself regarding Dream and George specifically seemed a lot more complicated than we originally thought. And because of that, I don't really want to make any assumptions or statement on Dream's character regarding the situation with George specifically. After that, though, we got into the details of Xander's and Dream's telephone confrontation, as well as some of the opinions Dream has on some of his old friends like Wilbur and Quackity. For those of you who don't know, by the way, after the whole drama thing with Xander went down, Dream ended up reaching out to Xander through Twitter DMs saying how they need to talk. And after that, they got on a phone call conversation that lasted over an hour, and this is kind of where a lot of the big information came out.
Anyways, though, can you summarize the conversation you and Dream had? Touch on the points a bit? It got raw. Pretty raw. First were obviously introductions and apologies on both sides for certain things. Then we got into the allegations. Then we got into other rumors and just bad faith actions that he supposedly did. He did not do those things. Then a raw part regarding victims and empathy and truth. I don't want to go into any detail on that. That was very raw for both of us. And then that kind of continued until the end. I figured. Did he ever cover any of the other stuff regarding people he used to be in contact with, like Wilbur or Quackity? Yes, but brief. Anything you could share on those topics? I don't really think I could share much on that front.
So when asking Xander if he had anything he wanted to say or add, he sent me this.
Is there anything else you want to share or feel like you should add that's important or noteworthy outside of what I've asked? Just that overall, I just think it's important to note that Dream and I are really good now, and there's zero bad blood at all. We're friends on Discord now, and we have multiple open lines of communication from this point forward. I just think that is so important to know. There truly has been healing that has taken place.
I will become completely transparent. I was not expecting Xander to vouch for Dream as much as he did in our conversation. Considering the way Xander was hardcore slandering Dream, saying all the allegations were true and that he was a bad guy, a little while before I spoke to him, the full 180 definitely was not something that I was expecting to see happen in this conversation with him. The situation itself honestly seems relatively clear to me now in terms of the stance on Dream's morality. Because, you know, at the end of the day, I've often said that there's a difference between a bad person and a broken person, and I feel like Dream is the best example out there that proves my philosophy. The fact that despite everything, especially since before the phone call with Dream, Xander absolutely despised him, I feel like that in itself should say a lot about Dream's character. However, on another note, near the end of our conversation, Xander and I ended up getting into the topic of Dream's career as a whole.
Do you think there's any chance Dream's career can recover from everything that's gone down? I actually do think so. I really hope it can, honestly. It will come if more people truly seek the truth of the situation and actually take the time to actually listen to him.
The part there, in my opinion, really is the most important statement Xander made during our entire conversation, because he genuinely believes that despite everything that has gone down, Dream can turn things around, and coming from Xander, that is saying something.
That's a great segue into what I think will be my last question. Do you think Dream would be open to potentially talking with me about everything? I wanted to try and get into contact with him to give him a voice outside of his channel on the more recent situations. I'd DM him on Twitter and see. He's very open to talking to people. Twitter is where DM-wise he's most active. He likes direct communication. I feel like if you reach out and just make your intentions known from the jump, he'll respond. He's really open to talking to any creator, doesn't matter the size, shape, or whatever.
Going off of his final statement, Xander suggested I try to message Dream on Twitter for more information, which I have done as per Xander's advice. However, as of right now, he hasn't responded yet. So what would be really helpful to everybody watching this is, go ahead, pull out your phones, everybody, pull out your phones, go on Dream's Twitter, and tell him to respond to Scenebean. Can we get hashtag Dream respond to Scenebean trending? That would be really great, because I want to find out what's going on so I can give you guys all the inside scoop. At the end of the day, though, when it comes to Dream's return, I feel like we all need to see this as a clean slate. The entering of a new era, if you will. Dream hasn't made new content for a long time, and according to Xander, a shattered mental state is the reason why. We need to give Dream some grace and respect, as him returning to content creation was probably a really difficult decision for him to make. So let's all show him support and make sure he feels welcomed and secure in his return, so we can all help him heal from the trauma he endured throughout the last 4 years. But anyways, you guys, that was my opinion, and now I would love to hear yours. If this video has sparked some thought or disagreement, please feel free to share your thoughts and opinions with me by joining the Discord server linked in the description, or leave a comment on this video for a chance at getting a shout out in my next one. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and giving this one a like, as it really helps me to please that sweet, sweet YouTube algorithm and get me closer and closer to reaching my dream goal of someday amassing 10,000 subscribers. And massive shout out to ImJustZander for all of the inside information. Be sure to check out his TikTok linked in the description as well, as I think he'd really appreciate some more traction, and he definitely deserves it because the TikTok commentary content he makes is quality. It is very good. But anyways, that's all I have for today's video. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and as always, stay freaky.